Okay, so it's been a long time since I've done one of these. So this is a post-build video of the Finwing Traveler version 2. I'll go through my particular build specs and any gotchas or things I think worth noting. So this is the version 2, and as you can see, it's got the T-tail at the back. The original version had the tail flushing with the rear of the fuselage. The T-tail is supposed to address some of the issues with the pitch oscillations, which the first one experienced. Some people experienced it, some people didn't. I guess it's down to the individual build. Okay, so I'll go through the running gear, flight controller, and all the other bits and pieces. So I'm using the TBS endurance motors, which are 1450 kV. They are rated up to 6 cell, however I will only be running 4S on this particular build. I'm running HQ 6x4x3 props, combined amp pull of both motors at full throttle is 25 amps. So 25 amps for both motors. Interesting. As you can see, I'm running a Foxeer Predator on the front. The video quality of the Predator is lovely. It's very nice indeed. So let's have a look at the underside first. So I'm running 18 amp ESCs. They do come with a 5 amp back. I do like these ESCs. They do need reprogramming, as when they come from the factory they are programmed for helicopters, so they have governor turned on and also slow spool up enabled. Ignore the tape. I've yet to decide how I intend to keep the wings on. I'm using Emax, I think they're ESM08 MDs, but they are the Metal Gear digital servos. They work very well. And obviously the same on that side. And you can see that's the Emax servo. Apologies about the lighting. I have got a small hole cut out there, which is just taped over. That's so I can get my USB cable into the flight controller to make any changes. So let's have a look inside the fuselage. Now, before I go into the fuse, it's worth stating that this will hit CG with anything from a 4S 2800 up to a 4S 5000 milliamp Turnigy 30C LiPo. So let's have a look inside. And there we go. So there's not oodles of space. I can't do it that way. But you can see that there's plenty of space up the front there for the LiPo. And then down in here I've got the Eagle Tree Vector and an L9R. Apologies, it's a bit difficult to see. Let's see. There's not much in the way of light in here, but yeah, there we go. So we have the two ESC cables paired up here, going into the Vector power supply. And then the GPS is at the back. Now, as you can see here, I've managed to fit, as stock, factory, they fit the rudder and the elevator servo wires down through the aluminium tube. Do put a little bit of tape around the inside of the tube so that it doesn't fray the cables. That's one thing that you definitely should do before you do anything else. Now, one other thing that I have done is I've mounted my video transmitter back in the tail. So I've fed a three wire twisted servo cable down through the boom, up through the vertical stabilizer, and out through the top. We'll come to that in a moment. Now, if you use slightly thinner gauge cable, you can also fit the GPS cable down through that boom as well, and save yourself some wiring. Underneath here where the GPS is, there's actually a hollow section in the tail boom where you can get the wire up and into the aluminium tube. Whereas what I've had to do is I've gone through the other side, as you can see there, and then into the fuselage there. So we'll go back to the tail section. Now I'm using a TBS Team Black Sheep Unify HV Pro 5.8 gig VTX. Now I do have a very small heatsink on it because they do get a touch warm. What I've done to mount the, let's get this focused, what I've done to mount the antenna is I cut a small V in the tail, pushed the cable of the Luminaire Axi antenna through, and then Yoo-hoo poured the V cutout back in. So I will remove this this bit of tape eventually, but as you can see, if I come over here where there's a bit more light, oops, that is the Axi antenna there, hanging underneath the rear horizontal stabilizer. So it should be in free air where there is a clear view back to the video receiver. That's the idea anyway. I have maidened it. I did maiden it twice. Wasn't greatly successful. I think the first time it was definitely had the CG too far back, and then the second time I think it was a bit too blustery. The first maiden I managed to land it. It was a bit squally, but I did land it. It was a planned landing, so yeah, it was all good. The second one, I managed to recover it from a stall, but as I recovered it, I cut the throttle and it went in and cartwheeled. But as it's EPP, it's tough as old boots. So yes, thoughts are it's a lovely plane. I hope I can sort out the flight characteristics. I'm not used to flying a twin. I'm more used to flying the Mini Talon, and they fly completely differently. That said, it sounds lovely. With the two TBS endurance motors and the 6x4x3 props, it sounds like a, how can I explain it? Sounds like a giant mosquito on crack. So yes, but yeah. Any questions? Please ask, leave comments, all the rest of it. Hopefully I'll get some in-flight footage uploaded soon. Thanks. Bye for now.